How did the Black Power movement influence Asian American resistance?
To answer the main question in this video, one needs to understand a quick background of what the Black Panther Party was.
The Black Panther Party was an organization built for Black nationalism and fighting against discrimination, specifically against police brutality. They focused on resistance and building resources like free clinics or breakfast programs to help the community.
Toward the end of the 1960s, the Black Panther experienced exponential growth all over the country, becoming powerful. So, in what ways did Black nationalism influence Asian American resistance? Well, there were several ways.
Throughout American history, non-whites and poor communities had been faced with the challenges of both economic and social inequality due to white supremacy. For Asians migrating to the United States, they avoided militant agitation to fight for their rights due to their lack of political, social, and economic power. They believed they were too weak to stand up against injustice. To avoid systematic oppression, some groups petitioned the courts to be recognized by white people, but this did not work.
As time passed by, younger generations of Asian Americans began to cast off the doubtful Asian mindset, working together and building diverse communities to stand up to discrimination. They broke away from the image that painted them as coded, tolerant, apologetic, and meet permanent foreigners, unwilling to jeopardize the pursuit of white acceptance by complaining too much. So, what role did the Black Power movement play in this breakthrough? They brought influence to the college arena. In a newspaper created by Asian Berkeley students, they acknowledged the influence of the Black Power movement, saying, as quoted, "Our Black brothers and sisters were the first to cry out in protest in the civil rights movement. Out of this grew the Asian student movement."
In 1852, author Harriet Beecher Stowe wrote a novel titled Uncle Tom's Cabin, which described Beecher's anti-slavery ideas. The protagonist of this novel is a slave named Uncle Tom, who was a composed nobleman. Stowe's views on slavery received criticism when people saw the character as stereotypical and white assimility, wanting acceptance from white people.
In 1968, the Asian American Political Alliance was founded at the University of Berkeley. They called for Asian justice in the U.S. and worked for other groups such as the Black Panther and the Red Guards. As the community grew, they began to grow their demands and criticism. They criticized the president of the San Francisco State College for being assimilated into white culture. They used the term Uncle Tom but were not satisfied. Basing it on African-American rhetoric, they then created the term Uncle Charlie from Charlie Chan's detective series to criticize the president.
The influence of the Black Power movement had been integrated within Asian American resistance. The Black Power movement overall established many significant tactics that benefited many within the community. Taking a similar approach to the significance of the Black Panther Party organization, there were organizations within the Asian American movement that became influenced by these tactics, such as the Red Guards. The Black Panthers' initial purpose was to patrol African American communities. Such organizations saw this as development of radical resistance against radical oppression, thus forming the Red Guards to serve a similar purpose. During times of poverty for many Black communities, access to food became more difficult, and so the Black Panther Party started the free breakfast programs for better learning in the school day for Black students. The Asian American movement, influenced by these programs, specifically the Red Guards, began to organize initiatives similar to that of the Black Panther Party breakfast program.
Other groups such as the Asian American Hardcore established detoxification programs for drug addicts, a political education class, Christmas programs for the poor, and other programs that help the poor, which followed the Black Panthers Party example of providing organized free healthcare screenings within Black neighborhoods, and along with some other resources often not provided by the government.
All in all, it is safe to say that the Black Power movement played a huge role in the creation of the Asian American resistance. Whether it be rhetoric or tactics, it will always have at least a bit of influence.